So the other day, I was on the Cleveland RTA website looking at their section for bus rapid transit, and had noticed something strange. Besides the Healthline, a center median busway that's obviously BRT by any stretch of the imagination, there was another route listed called the Cleveland State Line. This piqued my interest. Had Cleveland truly drummed up another BRT system? Could it hold a candle to the Healthline? Or had it risen further to challenge the likes of Bogota and Jakarta? The only way to find out was to go for a ride. Let's take a look at the map. The Cleveland State Line begins at the Stephanie Tubbs Jones Transit Center in downtown Cleveland, Ohio, then passes through Public Square and follows the shore of Lake Erie to Lakewood. From here, there are three variants of the route. The regular 55 serves the North Olmsted County line, the 55B serves Bay Village, and the 55C serves Westlake. Incidentally, Cleveland State University, who paid to have their name on the service, is located next to the bus's downtown transit center. I began my trip on the State Line in Cleveland's Public Square. The Healthline circles the entire square, with obviously marked bus lanes, but it took me a bit of a walk to reach the Cleveland State Line, which boards to the north. While I've heard of buses specially painted for the route, ours was a standard Cleveland bus and simply bore the number 55, the route's old moniker which the State Line still retains. At least it was in a bus-only lane, but a little voice in the back of my head told me that this was the most BRT this BRT was going to get. Indeed, as soon as our bus began to move, we were in regular traffic, making our way up Ontario Street just like any other bus. I wondered if perhaps there would be some dedicated bus lanes once we turned the corner onto Lakeside, but no, they were just normal lanes. We passed Fort Huntington Park and the Cleveland Browns Stadium, then snaked onto Route 2, where we were treated to some views of Cleveland's skyline and port. Then we were passing through the Flats and Ohio City. Our bus, which was a form of transit, was moving rapidly. But without dedicated lanes, this still wasn't bus rapid transit as traditionally defined. Perhaps, I figured, the BRT component would start out in the suburbs. Our route took us closer to the shore of Lake Erie, including the Edgewater Marina and Yacht Club. Then we were getting off the highway and entering Clifton Boulevard. It was here that I saw my first of the system's bougie shelters, built just a little nicer than your normal bus stop. Long ago, Clifton Boulevard used to have streetcar tracks running along the sides of it, but these were paved over into the curb lanes that now seem to be used mostly for parking. It would be nice, I figured, if these were actual bus lanes instead. The street was definitely wide enough, but no such luck. And that's when I started noticing some funny signs out the window. Curious, I got off the bus to investigate. And it was here that I found the answer I was searching for. The Cleveland State Line had dedicated bus lanes after all, but only during rush hour. From 7 o'clock to 9:30 every weekday morning, the inbound curb lane of Clifton Boulevard was bus only, and the outbound curb lane took on this role from 4 o'clock to 6:30 every weekday evening. And that was it! The rest of the time, these lanes were just filled with parked cars, and from what I've heard from people who live in Cleveland, these lanes aren't even enforced that much. You know how everyone parks on the RTA red line tracks because, there's time between trains? No! That is actual rapid transit! This is not! Cleveland, this is just a bus! I decided I needed to touch some grass, so I walked over to Lake Erie, took a deep breath of serenity and thought, nah, I'd rather be snarky. Hey Canada, poutine tastes like garbage and gave me diabetes a second time.
At least I'm not standing in Ohio, eh?
Gotta run back to the bus because this thing is hourly on Saturdays! Back at the stop, I investigated our bougie shelter. There were a few amenities, including benches, a bike rack, a wastebasket, and a map that was only kind of helpful. Each stop had this signage on a pole as well. If I had to offer feedback to Cleveland RTA, I would tell them 2 words. Are you ready? Express bus. That's all they need to call this. Functionally, the Cleveland State Line is not a BRT. It's just a mixed traffic bus that's a little nicer than the rest of the city's system. Calling it an express bus would just be more straightforward and wouldn't give people false ideas about what BRT is or isn't. And Cleveland is no stranger to renaming routes. The Metro Healthline, another special bus service in the city, used to have a BRT designation as well, despite having no BRT features whatsoever. And at some point they quietly removed it from their BRT page and put it on the one for buses. RTA, it's not too late to do it again. And maybe run more than once per hour on weekends? Thanks for watching everyone, and be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care.